Hi, I'm Maribeth Lynch.
And I'm Moira Miller. We are the co-founders of the Shrewsbury Town Center Association.
This podcast, Centerpieces, is designed to introduce the people who make up the fabric of our town center.
We want to help you to get to know the people behind the businesses and community who live, work, and play in the Shrewsbury Town Center.
We bring you their personal stories so you too can get to know them. As our town center experiences new growth and development, we hope to introduce new and old community members to our audience so we can help sew together the pieces that make up our town center.
Have you wondered what's happening with the former Walgreens on Main Street? On today's episode of Centerpieces, we chat with Meg Belsito and Mel Chacharone, who will tell us more about their plans for this property. Welcome, Meg and Mel. Thanks for being here with us today. So maybe start by telling us a little bit about yourselves. Maybe Meg, a little bit about your background and what you do here in Shrewsbury.
Sure. So I'm Meg Belsito. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Student Services. I'm in my 7th year in the Shrewsbury Public Schools. Prior to coming to Shrewsbury, I was in the Milford Public Schools for 21 years. So a little bit about myself. I was a teacher, team chairperson, a director, and now in my current role. I'm now also a Shrewsbury resident.
Excellent. Happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having me. My name is Mel Chacharone. I'm the principal, one of the principals of Chacharone Properties. My family moved to Shrewsbury in 1977, and we currently live in Shrewsbury again. We moved back about 15 years ago, and we purchased 557 Main Street approximately 3-4 months ago, and we're happy to do so to house the RISE program for Shrewsbury High School.
So can you tell us a little bit about the RISE program?
Sure. RISE.
For folks who don't know what that is and what you're hoping to do.
Absolutely. So RISE stands for Reaching Independence Through Supported Employment, and it's a program for our 18 to 22-year-old students with disabilities. Creating our own program for students, being community-based, we know is best practice. Over the years, or as long as I've been at Shrewsbury and even further than that, students that were 18 to 22 years old were actually enrolled in programs outside of the district. We did not have our own program, so it's been a vision and a hope of ours to have a community-based program that would allow our students to have vocational opportunities, work, employment within our own community. So that was one of our main goals of creating the program, and I think our program focuses on making sure that our students have the ability to participate in their local community and become active in the community at large.
Meg, is this a new program?
It is, yes. So we just opened in the fall. Currently, we only have 3 students in the program, but next year we will have 20.
Oh, that's great. And this is a real retail operation that you're planning, correct?
So there's 2 parts to the program.
Yep.
The first part being the classroom opportunity, functional academics, independent living skills, vocational opportunities, volunteer opportunities, being in their community, the students and the staff, and along with their families. And then the other part of it would be to open up a retail business so that the students then take all of that learning and put that into real life independent living skills. So it's 18 to 22 and beyond.
Tell us a little bit about sort of why you picked the town center.
So
or maybe you didn't pick the town center. How did you end up in the town center? Yeah.
We actually started an advisory committee, it's over a year ago now, where we started to talk about how programs that are community-based should really be outside of the public school buildings. So we were looking at having the program somewhere in the town so the children could be a part of the community still, and where would that best be served? So we looked at a number of different locations in town, and we actually looked at the center of town as the most viable, being that it's on public transportation, looking for parking, having the students have access to the library, the post office, police, fire, other banks, restaurants in the area. So we knew that the center of town would also be a place that would be just a perfect location for our kids to really still be a part of the community.
So now, how'd you get involved in this venture?
So I got involved, and Meg may be able to help me out. So my daughter was involved in the Unified program at the high school. Maybe Meg, you can, so for the listeners, can explain what the unified program is, because I won't do as good of a job.
So our unified program at Shrewsbury High School is for students with and without disabilities. And Mel's oldest daughter, Theodora, was instrumental in being a peer mentor to our students with disabilities. The unified program has various opportunities. There's a unified club, unified sports, and she was instrumental in ensuring that all students felt accepted and that they belonged with us in our community.
So, I think it was Patrick Collins. I think he reached out to me, just said, "Hey, Mel, this is what we're thinking of doing. You're in real estate, you're an attorney. Do you mind serving on our committee?" I think right, committee or show up to a meeting. So then, and I went to a lot of unified events because, again, my daughter was very involved in it, and it's great. So I don't know if any of you've been to.
Yes.
They've
been very successful and well received by the community.
It's unbelievable, really, how successful it is. So my daughter was involved in that. So then they said, "Hey, do you mind if we just pick your brain, because we're trying to find a location to put this program." So I think we met for lunch, and then they started talking, and they just wanted to pick my brain. Hey, what do you know about real estate, or what are your thoughts? Where could something like this be viable in town? And they want to know my thoughts on White City, and they showed me some. I want to say lease proposals from the developer of White City. Then they were thinking about over at the Whole Foods Plaza. And just in my mind, I'm saying to myself, that's not going to work. They just don't have, they won't be able to pay those rents over there. So then, we just stayed in touch. I was like, look, I'll keep my eyes open. And if you want to bounce anything off me, I went to a couple meetings. And I just think it just kind of sat there for, month after month. We just kind of check in with each other, and, there was really no viable space for it. And quite frankly, I think, I kind of forgot about it, kind of like dormant for a little while, just because we just kept running it, not me. The program just kept running into dead ends. And then, I forget how it came about, but I just remember seeing the, I always call it the Hale Drug Building, but it's but
Walgreens,
the Walgreens building,
Rite Aid also.
Went up for sale. Then I think I reached out to Patrick and I just said, "Hey, do you want me to call that broker and see?" I wasn't even thinking about purchasing at that point. Again, I live a mile off the center of town, and I pass the center of town 4 times a day, and I was like, "Hey, do you want me to just call up? Because I'll have, rather than you calling him asking you questions, you call me, I'll just cut out the middleman. I'll just try to figure out if it's something viable you could rent from." So Michael Hale was the owner. The Hale drug family still in that building. And, I just think, I think, I forget what he wanted, a rent, but then he wasn't going to put any money into the building. And then I just went, God, it's never going to happen, to rent from these guys. And then the person I was talking to was actually representing the Walgreens Corporation, trying to buy out the lease from Hale. So I was talking to him for a little while. Then I realized he really wasn't, going to be very helpful. And then Keller and Sadowski, who we do a lot of business with, Chacharone Properties, does a lot of business with, had the listing. So I just started talking to him. And then I think I kind of had this moment where I was like, what, if this is going to happen, I think I'm going to have to buy it, refurbish it, and rent it back to the town at a price they can afford. Whether or not I didn't do it as a moneymaker, right?
Right.
I paid, I think $960 or $970 for the building, and I just said to myself, it's got to go here, right? Thinking about the program, what's a better location than this? So I just started thinking to myself, how can I make it happen? And I think it kind of went from there, and I talked to Patrick. I was like, "Hey, look, if where are you with the RFPs?" And he's like, "Look, we haven't had anyone make or submit a proposal." So it was, month after month, and I just said, let me try to buy it and turn around to a lease that the school system can afford and the town can afford. And that's what happened.
What's so amazing about this is the power of just local people wanting to do the right thing. Everybody here lives in the town. We all want what's right for the town center. But, congratulations for stepping up and knowing that there's a need that kind of speaks to what's in your heart. Like you felt like it really connected to you in a different way. I applaud you. I think it's wonderful, and I think it's going to really benefit the town center in so many different ways. Congratulations.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, it's really a home run. And I'll tell anyone, if you haven't been to like a unified event, I tell you, I always mention this to people. They had a senior night, I think it was unified basketball. And I tell my wife all the time, it was like one of the first times I cried when I seeing the emotion on the kids for a senior night, for those who don't know sports or, the high school sports, when the seniors graduate, they kind of have banners and they do a little extra for the seniors. I mean, it was emotional. I mean, these kids were ecstatic. I mean, just the emotion in the room. So when I got involved with Patrick and Meg, I was like, we got to do something. We got to figure it out. And it's kind of a long road, right? It wasn't easy negotiating for that building because there was someone else who wanted the building, and I've kind of got a lot of comments. I overpaid. I was like, I'm well aware I overpaid. I'm well aware I overpaid for the building, but like I said, at the end of the day, I was like, it's gotta. My dad who started Chacharone Properties, I remember going back there. I was like, look, that they keep on, it's getting insane, at the price because the numbers aren't going to work. He's like, it's got to go in that location. There's no other location,
Wow.
For that property. And a little side note, so my dad, his oldest sibling, a sister, had Down syndrome.
Oh, interesting.
So, he kind of knows, what this location would have meant for the community and, the kids.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's how it happened.
There's a program, I believe, in Westboro, the Candy Shack. Is that
Sugar Shack?
Sugar Shack. Is that a little bit like what we're talking about with this RISE program?
So there are a number of community-based programs that districts actually have in Westboro Public Schools. They have the Sugar Shack, and the program, I believe, for the students is called like the Burrows or something like that. And then Grafton Public Schools, Hopkinton Public Schools. So we're not at Milford Public Schools. We're not the first in the area to have a community-based program for 18 to 22, and then also attempt to have a retail business. The Sugar Shack, they're, the Amber Bach and Sherry Stevens, who are, the superintendent and the director of student services, are wonderful partners and colleagues and very willing to share information around their experience. And we've all gone in and toured, and if you ever have a chance to go and support the business there, it's great. So they are one shining example of community-based programming. So,
do we know what the retail operation is going to be?
We knew that was going to be asked.
I was wondering. I think everybody wants to know the answer to that.
Exclusive on our podcast.
Right.
Breaking news in Shrewsbury.
Yeah. So we talk about it a lot. And I think one of the things that we're obviously very willing to share right now is we're really focused on probably having Shrewsbury local merchandise as well as candy. So we're talking about a couple things, but then also we've talked about pop-ups. So having other local business people or local artists or whatever it might be come in and do, like, whether it's a couple weeks or a month within the business too. So there's three main things that we continually talk about, and it's Shrewsbury, like gear, swag type of thing, all things Shrewsbury, candy, which would hopefully drive in some young friends in the community, possibly ice cream too. They're talking about an ice cream. I don't, the people involved are directors, our team chair, the coordinator for the program, community, the parents, students. Huge student involvement right now. We actually have the logo being designed by high school students, and we'll vote on which one we'll go with and certainly share that. Do something similar with the name of the business. So very exciting things happening, but yes, it won't be complete candy, but it will have a big component.
So it's great. So it's become with, it's not just, I will say, a school-driven event. Now it's a community-driven event because you have people from all walks of life getting into that. So that fits into vision for the town center. It's a good use of the building because we always talk about some retail components, pop-ups. Oh my gosh, talk about pop-ups all the time. That's a great way to introduce new vendors, new products, get people down here. So that concept I could see even driving others, hopefully businesses in the town center, to take a look and go, oh, that's what they're doing over there. Gee, we could do that over here in this building and maybe build on that.
Sure.
So that's
well,
great.
Our other hope is for the students to partner with other businesses.
Want to talk a
And
little bit about
whether
that?
be
Yeah.
a work opportunity, vocational opportunity, have someone come in and work with the students and the staff regarding a particular area of expertise, whether that be, banking, financial advising, or cooking, or, you name it. So the hope is also to have partnerships outside of just the building in the area. Like they've met with, for example, they've already met with the police department a couple times. One of our students has an interest in learning about law enforcement, and sure enough, the school resource officer arranged a meeting for the students to see the cruiser, have a conversation. This is what it looks like. This is what I do every day. So really looking to partner with the community as a whole is a huge focus of ours.
Maybe the garden center, garden
Oh,
club,
yeah,
garden
outside.
club,
Yeah.
for landscaping, or
That would be nice. Do you have any connections?
Yes, we do.
we do.
We do. We'd love
We
to
know a few
connect you
people
up.
in the garden club. Yes.
Did you notice you just pulled landscaping out? Is that how?
We kind of knew that was going to be part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it starts with the way it looks, and then it kind of just
Right.
continues from there.
Yeah.
I know one of the things that we've talked about a lot as the Shrewsbury Town Center Association is how do you kind of start the spark? Like, what spark starts a town in its revitalization process? And one of the pieces of advice that we've gotten was it has to be a traveling display of businesses or art that continue to be interesting as you walk. And I often think about our students who walk from the middle school straight through the center. And there's a lot of controversy, I think, around, kind of what the kids are doing and the masses of children. And I think some people are always kind of, it's not always positive about what the kids are doing when they leave middle school and make their way to the library. I personally, as someone that sees them along their way, think it's wonderful. And I love that they stop at Dunkin' Donuts and 7-Eleven. And I could imagine this traveling kind of enjoyment of the children as they get closer to what will be the RISE program. I could imagine a lot of students going in and visiting and, exploring that. So, I mean, that's what's going to be the way we get our town center to become more interesting. And we all know we have a lot of work ahead of us, but this is certainly, a great beginning, and a building that really needed a little bit of perking up, I would say.
TLC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
TLC.
TLC.
There's
A lot
TV
of
show
times
about
that's what
right?
it is. And I see, are you already starting some work on the inside? Have I seen
Yeah,
some?
we've already gutted it. Yeah, we did asbestos abatement. We've gutted it. So we're just waiting for plans.
So is there going to be changes to the exterior?
No. So I mean, we took out the landscaping. So we are going to put windows in. So the what would that be?
Facing
The left side, which
Extra-
is
like
what the
south.
west side, the west side of the building, south side.
not
Facing
away
Main?
from Champa, the other side,
Correct.
on the
correct.
parking lot side.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
On the
that
parking lot
would
side,
be the
then
west
we're
side.
going to
Yeah.
put some windows in there. We're going to replace the window out front. Obviously, all the landscaping will probably, there's a white facade in the front, so we'll either paint that or power wash that or clean that up. But yeah, hopefully, get a fresh coat of asphalt on the parking lot. Make it look clean and neat.
So I mean, again, we're all about the town center. Where everybody has such a vested interest in seeing it become a better version of itself. As locals, aside from the RISE program, if you could, just click your heels and you could see a business just grow in the town center, what would you like to see there? What would your dream be?
A breakfast spot,
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Breakfast, lunch.
yeah,
I-
viable,
Yeah.
yeah.
Lot of
Coffee
people-
shop, which would be a
Yeah.
breakfast kind of
Yeah.
version of itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we'll have a pop-up with coffee or something.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Pop-ups are the way to go. We had a beer vendor talk to us about the possibility of pop-ups, in the center for.
I'm not sure we can do beer, but
Yeah.
You can't do beer, but others. But there's one time you can broaden
yeah,
than your
no, teasing.
where you guys are, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
you're sort of as a really long-term Shrewsbury resident, Mel, and Meg maybe a little less, but still,
Right.
What's your vision for the town center? What would you, we kind of see it as picking up more of a village feeling. I don't think the goal isn't to become a Hudson, right? Because that's a whole different kind of model where they started from. But just to have a cohesive village with, as Maribeth said, it's people who drive through or walk through to encourage walking and art and things that people want to see. And they park their car and then they go to breakfast and maybe they go to a little shop over here. And, that's kind of, I guess, our vision for what we'd like to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think small retail is definitely, Mel, you would know better than anyone. I think the commercial real estate world has changed so much. COVID really kind of blew a hole through that.
No, retail's difficult. And you compound that with the lack of parking, right? So there's got to be solutions for that. But yeah, if you have restaurants, I think that brings people. And if you bring people, then retail will want to open up. I was sad to see my barber left.
Yes.
And maybe a barber.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's interesting on parking. A lot of parking is a perception thing, right? The town did a study, and there were actually something like, I think it's 2,000 spaces, but they're all behind buildings, right? If you go and you count them, you literally count them, and that would be including the church and the library and what used to be UMass and the Beale property and the smaller properties and 555. If you count all the spaces, there's a lot of parking. So, but it's not cohesive, and what it's going to take is maybe shared parking agreements. The current owners are very open many times to just, if there's an event in the evening. Most of the parking comes after 4:00. So business people have left, and there's parking places people could park for dinner or breakfast, those types of things. So there's a lot of parking there. It's just kind of working about how you point. You saw some parking signs go up last year. The town put up just to inform people. Look, you can park here. You can park here. You can park here. So
the church and the old UMass building, they're all amenable. The owners of those. I mean, obviously the church is.
Well, the UMass they've just recently sold, so I'm not sure anymore. But they always were. I mean, I park at the church all the time. It's one of those things where you kind of have to work it out. We just had Town Center Association had the 4th annual Yuletide Market in Light the Common this weekend. And so we get over 3,000 people to that on that Saturday evening. And we contact all these places I'm talking about, and they're all, yeah, but fine. Yep, you can park there. You can park there. So there is a willingness. Now, long term, how that works, I'm not sure. But again, when I say the town, I'm talking about the town manager's office and planners working on shared parking agreements with businesses to see, kind of how that all will work. So that's a hope for.
Sure.
Well, it also, if you're successful and you're successful and you're successful, everybody's successful. So if you can kind of do a whisper down the lane idea of here's how we're trying to get everybody to have parking and foot traffic, it starts with one place. And I know Hudson way back, I mean, people always pull out Hudson as a good example of a town that has really gone from not a great, it was not beautiful 15 years ago or 10 years ago, and now it's really, thriving. That didn't happen overnight. That happened, one business at a time. One business invested and their neighbors decided, oh, that looks great, let me try. And that's what we've been working on, really hard to try to get the message out there that even just doing things outside of your business, like we put benches outside. And I'm surprised at how many people will grab a cup of coffee and just come and sit on the bench. And that's wonderful. That's what you want. You want that interaction between businesses because then it becomes not just going to one business, it's going to the town center. And that's how different businesses will, decide that they want to relocate to our town center. So, but we have, definitely we have traffic that a lot of people will talk about as being an issue. Parking is another issue that people will bring up. But I think all of these things, if you kind of break them apart and have people that are intent on solving problems, working together, I think we can get it to all come together. And I think what you're doing is exactly perfectly situated for where we're at for the town center. And we know that there's other things that are going to start to percolate to the top. And it's going to happen pretty quickly. So I think this year and next year are going to be really times where Shrewsbury Center is going to come into its own.
And people, I talk to people, and they always say, "What's going on with that Walgreens building?" And I'll say, "Let me tell you," and they get really excited when they hear the story, right?
Oh, that's great.
What you're doing, what you have planned, what's going to be in there. People like that. They really are excited to see what's coming. So
We're extremely excited, and we're extremely grateful to Mel and his family for their support in the community and in the schools. And if it weren't for families like Mel's, then we could still be looking. So we are looking forward to having the students move into the building and then open up the business. So the hope is once we get there and settled, we would be looking more towards summer, early fall. And, one of my directors said, "Isn't there a big fall event that we could do like a grand opening around or something like that?" So,
well, maybe we'll have to plan.
We'll just have to
know anybody that might be able to plan an event.
so more to come on
Or
the
the
business
Spirit of
name.
Shrewsbury.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Spirit of Shrewsbury. So more to come on the name. We definitely, so the RISE program is the academic part, and so the business will have its own separate name.
Okay.
And we have a couple different ideas right now, but we want to make sure everybody's happy with the decision and ready to put it in print. So that will be coming soon.
So when that comes, how's that going to become public? How do you guys have a plan for making that information public?
When you say you guys, I'm just a landlord.
I recognize that. It wouldn't happen without you, so thank you for that.
Well, we'll definitely ask his opinion of the names.
And they don't have to, because again, I'm just a landlord. But
No, but there's also a vested interest over the years, and we do appreciate the guidance and the feedback that we've gotten from other families and other people that have expertise in retail and business and real estate. That's not what I went to school for. So there's many meetings that I sit in. I'm like, that's I'm not going to pretend to be somebody that went to school for finance. Patrick Collins did that, and I trust him. And I went to school for education and programming and things like that. So it's a collaborative effort, which we're really excited about. So, but yeah, I don't know what we'll do to get the name out there, but we'll make sure we do the best we can.
I'm sure there are plans. There'll be some kind of big media announcement.
We'll definitely do something.
I know a lot of people that I've run into had said, "Oh, I heard the school department bought the building," in quotes, and it's going to be offices.
Oh, no.
So that was kind of the word around town. So I think people hearing what this is going to be, every person that, and again, we were waiting for this to really get all the information, and it's really exciting to hear it. But it is so, I think it's going to be really the best thing that's happened to downtown Shrewsbury in a long, long time. Really.
Awesome.
I don't even think people realize there's functional classrooms in the back, right? I think people are just going to see the retail portion of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So even though they do have the, the support in the back, in the back of the building.
Well, I think so many of us have gone there for so long for, your prescription or, a pack of Band-Aids. So the way it must look inside now that it's all gutted and what you're going to do to transform the interior space will be really interesting. I think it's going to be a fun little experiment in how to rearrange spaces. So that'll be fun to see.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be great, and, I'm kind of, it's not my decision, but I'm pushing for the candy store. I like little,
Go on record, Mel likes the candy.
We have a place in Chatham. I like going to, the Candy Manor and the Five and Dime, and I like Parker's over in Boylston,
Yeah, right.
So, and have you guys been to the Sugar Shack by any chance?
Oh, yeah.
And, so I think it's great. I think it's great. I walked through there before I actually handed over my RFP, to Pat. And
you wanted to check it out.
Exactly.
What are we talking about here? Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well, I think a candy store, that goes back, that harkens back to the olden days, Everybody needed a candy store. So candy sells for sure.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah.
It's really exciting. How do your kids feel about this? You guys both have kids in the school. They must be excited and have lots of ideas of their own.
So Theodora, who's who was involved with the Unified program, she's a sophomore now in college, and she can't wait to get back. And I'm gonna have to shield Meg from her because she's gonna try to take over. She's very strong-willed and has her ideas and thoughts, and she knows all the kids. She stays in touch with them on social media, so she can't wait to get back and see it come to fruition.
That's great. Meg, you have children in the schools, correct?
I do. I'm not in the Shrewsbury schools. My daughter's 21. She's a senior in college, and then our son is a freshman in college.
Got it.
So,
okay. All right. So
just out of the...
We need some of those little kids. Moira certainly has a grandson that will benefit from a candy store.
He's only one, but he'll benefit from a candy
Absolutely.
at some point. Grandma can take him in.
Oh, yeah.
That's
great.
I mean, if the success of the Unified program at the high school is any indication of how the town will support, a retail store, it's going to be a tremendous success.
No doubt.
I agree. Yeah.
They fill the stands for those Unified events, and I think kids can't wait to go support their fellow classmates and go purchase items or what have you over at that store.
I love these Shrewsbury swag too. We had spoken about that for
always
the Yuletide event. I know that the high school has a little store inside the high school, but it's a little hard to get some Shrewsbury stuff,
Right.
especially clothes. So.
So we're excited in thinking about not even just Shrewsbury High School, but all the different schools and just the town of Shrewsbury. Yeah. So we were thinking next year the Yuletide would probably be open that night to make sure that we can share in that type of event, and thinking about special events like that in order to promote the town. And students love wearing their Shrewsbury sweatshirts, T-shirts. We were even thinking the students can learn how to make shirts, different things like the, Kindness Month, or, there are so many different ideas that people are coming up with for the students to, what if they create, notebooks, and what if we have them making bags, and, well, first let's get there. So we're definitely excited about that part of it, as well as the candy part and the pop-up part. But
the ideas are just endless.
Yes. Yeah, they are.
And the enthusiasm is awesome. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's great.
It's great. We're excited.
We are really excited.
It's going to be a very exciting time for the town center.
Yeah. And again, it's all, had you not done what you did, and you not had the great idea of putting these pieces together, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation. And it's all about local and being invested in your community, and all wanting what's right for our town center. And I know STCA, our mission is we want to see economic development occur, and we want to do it we know what we are, and we know that we're not a big city that is going to have big large retailers coming in. We want the little small mom and pop stores and businesses to continue to do really well. So this is a great start. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much
for having you guys back.
Yeah.
You can tell us maybe unveil some more information.
Absolutely. Happy to. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
If you know someone who would make a great guest, reach out to us so we can invite them to our podcast.
Thanks for listening.